everyone. I'm Frost. Very nice to see you here in Salt Lake City. It's my first time here, and very glad to see everyone. Today, we are going to talk about why the future of e-commerce is video. I know we talk about video shopping, we talk about live shopping, we talk about e-commerce 2.0 a lot, but here I really want to just discuss with everyone why it is so important, both for the brands, for the customers, in both in a brand marketing way, in the product growth way, and also, most importantly, in the performance marketing way. So first of all, a little bit about myself. I think Nikki already did a really good job introducing me. But basically, my background started as a machine learning engineer. I was lucky enough that I worked with all these social media companies really early on. So I really went through, even in social media, that initially at Twitter, I remember it was a huge debate whether we should have supported image or not. Can you believe that? In social media, people were like, no, no images, it's crazy. And then it was a crazy fight of, oh, should we support videos? Like now it would be like a no-brainer, right? But back in 2010, it was like not a thing people even think about. Same thing when I joined Pinterest. Same debate. Should we support videos? So really, like a lot of the things now we think is necessary, it just makes sense. Back then, it was really a progress going on there. And today, we want to talk a little bit about what drives all the progress and what we have learned from there, right? So I was lucky enough afterwards, I worked at Wish, and I was able to work with a company like Twitch, which is really next generation of video platform, right? It's not only video, but it's live. Not only it's live, it's social. Now it's social, you can actually have a symmetric following, you can have interest, you can subscribe to channels. So really, like even on the day-to-day way we interact with content, outside of e-commerce, people really change, right? And then on the e-commerce side also, we saw the difference from back then, we shop always on Amazon. We shop on Etsy. We shop on eBay. And nowadays, the brands can easily create their own store using Shopify, using Squaresite, using so many different platforms. You can easily create a store within like 10 minutes. So all this change really changed the landscape, ability, and user shopping experience over the last 10 years. And that's how and why I founded the company in social chat to specifically focus on video marketing. But here, before we look into the future, let's talk a little bit about e-commerce as a core. So I don't know how many of us actually experienced that period, but e-commerce actually was booming in the early 2000s. That's our memory and how we think about e-commerce in general. It's actually when Amazon was at its peak. But before we look into the future, it's kind of fun if you see what is the first e-commerce site. It probably will blow your mind how it looks. It looks like this. In the 1980s, this is the first e-commerce site you can find. You have to use a special terminal to connect. It has only 16 colors. And it's only for B2B because, as you can see, no consumer would even be interested or knowing what it is. But that was already so much more advanced that people can shop online, they can put in orders, instead of they have to get the brochures in their hand and then call for making purchases. So I would say that is called barely existing in the 1980s first. And then in the 1990s, this is the screenshot of the old Amazon. So you can see that's already a crazy advancement out there. You can have hyperlinks. So you can easily link to different sites, different pages with different detailed information. So I know now we take it kind of for granted. Of course, we can link to different information. But we can think a little bit about why we link this information. It's because when people are interested, they want to learn more. And before the learn more was really just call a sales representative to learn more. This really, in the 1990s, it starts being users are able to do self-discovery. So this is the first glimpse. And then goes to late 1990s. This is a screenshot of Apple. And you can see this is one of the first websites that actually has images. And as you can see, you probably immediately felt you are way more likely to purchase on this site versus those hyperlinks, right? Because as shoppers who are very visual, we want to see what we are buying. Even if it's just electronics, we can read the specs, but we want to see how it will look. And then in the early 2000s, that's when the editorials started to be trending, and that also reflects on the social media. That's when MySpace started being really popular. I know we never heard about MySpace anymore, but remember back then, you follow all different pages and all these bands and interesting editorial content you can read. That was a trend back then. And fast forward to late 2000, when Facebook was so really dominating back then, or even now as Meta, we start seeing like personalized deals and promotions, right? It's no longer, oh, I just clip a deal from a newspaper. Like the stores try to differentiate between their users. That's when first you can see all these brochures online. And then it goes to the 2010, we start seeing community images. That's when Instagram was really a dominating power, right? If we look back in early 2010, really in social media, there was no images. I was there. Twitter didn't support images. Facebook barely like let you upload like few images within the same post. And finally, we are now at 2020. Everyone talks about TikTok. Everyone talks about Instagram Live. Everyone talks about YouTube. It's really the era of live and video. So as we go through the last 40 years of e-commerce, it's not only fun for us to look back a little bit about history, it's also we see the trend is really the e-commerce is trying to become more and more like if you are shopping in person, right? We are trying to be more interactive over time, going from I just see a page to I can click on links to explore, from I can click on links to I can see really what the product looks like, to I can see a static product, to I can see how the product actually act and work in real life, and finally, show me and demo me all the product features and how it works for different people or users similarly like me. Let me ask questions, have domain experts to come talking with you outside of the brand content as well. So here is this mega trend that when we are trying to become so interactive and so visual, that's when this is a really popular trend, especially in the pandemic, like going live, right? It can be you do live shopping. It can be even you are not really related to, users need to buy right there, but you want to do a product launch, right? I will give one of the example, even if it's not super interactive, you want to give a live feeling. That's why when Apple launches its products, it's always they are doing it live. Why don't they pre-record it? They can make it so like much more beautiful and polished, right? Because that really gives people the feeling of true connection and see how it works. I don't know if any of you remember, 1 year, I think that's what last year when Steve Jobs was on the live, his feature actually didn't work. He actually was asking everyone, can you please put down your laptop and stop connecting to Wi-Fi, and then I can do FaceTime. And I know it was a huge mistake, but at the same time, you know he's actually demoing a feature in real time. You know that works. Even it was kind of a mistake or failure, it feels more real rather than a perfectly production video recorded video out there. So as we talk about this, I want to just like convert into more like a marketing model. When we are talking about the user journey, we always want to drive our numbers to the top and to the right. So first of all, we have to gain the user's attention. If you're not looking at your product, nothing will happen, right? And after you gain their attention, you have to give them a motivation. They want to interact and spend more time. So just having really crazy splashy light and really strong colors are not useful, right? You have to give the right content so it drives the motivation. And then you have to give them some call to action. Make them interact with your site, with your store. So they go to the next step of what you desire, which is conversion. Either they add the product to a cart, they sign up a lead form, or they just check out directly from there. So I'll give you an example. I just found all these products online, not personally affiliated with any of them. So this is one on the left. Here's two on the right. What gets you more attention? Apparently the one on the right. It's not very, very fun as a video. The firework is not really relevant. But if I put two of them on the same page, you'll see the one on the right. And then let's look at these two videos. The one on the left is just a firework effect that got you the attention. But, well, why is that even relevant to the product anyway? And the one on the right is actually telling you about how to use the product, how it looks like on the person. So it gives you a little bit motivation to see, okay, how can I use it? Or maybe it is interesting to me because I relate to the person who's sharing the experience. And then once you got the motivation, look at the left side. It's the same thing. The person kind of shared, but you may have some questions you want to ask, such as, well, is it really for me? I have a really dry skin. Is it really for me because I'm of a certain age or I have a certain skin type, right? So the next one is give them some call to action. Either they can ask questions, they can click on likes, they can add things to the cart right there, and ideally, they can see how other people are also responding to not only them and the brand. And finally, you gain the conversion happening right here. So as we talk all of this, you'll think about, yeah, that makes sense. Of course, video will be more engaging than static images or static review text message. But why now? Why are you talking about why now is the time? A few reasons. One, the brands have moved online. Either because of pandemic, because the cost of retail stores, because of the mobile economy, or just simply the internet building store cost has really lowered thanks to a lot of platforms such as Shopify, Ecommerce, you call it, right? So let's just look at the graph. Here's a graph of the US retail sales related to online sales. As you can see on the right-hand side is when not only it was growing year by year at a crazy growth, but also during the pandemic, it has a huge lift. And after the pandemic has been cooling down, I wouldn't call it over, but right now we are back to kind of normal and the stores reopened. The online store percentage didn't really drop back. So that really shows that the brands move online and the users also move online. Secondly, the content moved online. Before, when you want to see how to do something, you go to the store and you ask the sales representative, I don't know how to really set up this furniture. I don't know how to use this new device I purchased. Teach me how to use this makeup kit. So I have a personal funny story I would like to share. So I first came to the United States in 2009, and my roommate at the time was looking for a job. We lived in this small town called Ann Arbor in Michigan. I don't know how many of you have heard about it. And she asked me to go shopping with her to prepare for her very first important interview. I still remember clearly, we spent an hour in the snow, commuting to the store, and only to find out what she wanted was not even there. So it was definitely a very painful experience. Versus now, I just remember whenever I'm thinking about purchasing these items, I look out online, find someone who has a similar skin tone, similar style, see their demo. I was like, okay, that looks pretty good. And there's a free return anyway if it doesn't work out. I just order it, simple, easy, and even with a little bit more information upfront before I commit this 50 minutes one-way trip to the mall, only to be disappointed in like a very harsh winter time in Michigan. And also, back then, it was really hard to measure the performance of video. Let me give you an example. If you were running TV ads, that's one of the most common way to run a video ads. Usually, after you run it, you have to hire a firm, which is really not cheap, usually in millions of dollars, to measure the success of your video content. Usually, the way they do it is they find out a lot of people in the neighborhood by zip code, check out if they actually go shop on your site, ask them if their sentiment has changed, and really minute by minute to see if there is upsurge of your shop impression. Not only is it expensive, but also it's usually not even accurate. Because a lot of times we watch something, how often do we just buy it right on the spot? It kind of, we learn about this information, we think about it, and over time, it build my trust and build my knowledge that I decide to purchase it, right? So in marketing, we call it feel-through attribution. A click-based attribution is easy because only if you click, I calculate this purchase or this engagement is relevant. But feel-through means I've watched this video, and within how long period of time and within how in between the user journey should we make it attributed back to the video. A lot of times it's not even possible. So let's look at the funnel. So ideally, we want to see the user watch the video, they have an engagement, they interact, and they convert, right? But a lot of times, the user watch a video on YouTube, on Instagram, right? So you don't really know who watched your video. They tell you your video has been watched 1,000 times, but you don't know who are they, right? So one of the important items, if you want to build this funnel, is try to move the videos to your site, because at least you can see if the users spend more time on your site on the pages with videos, bare minimum. Ideally, you also want to see how long have the users been watching the video. So one of the hardest part is, especially some folks when they ask me when they run Facebook video ads, they were saying, we don't really know how the filter attribution was exactly done, because I can be kind of like just browsing my Facebook and there's a video playing on the top. I'm actually reading my friend's comment. Does that count as engagement or not? It is playing, right? So how do you define the engagement? Ideally, you want to make your page very specific that when the user is playing the video, you know they are watching it. And finally, give them some way to interact. Can they click on a like? Can they ask a question? Can they store the video? Or even they just say, I don't think it's relevant. Like, give them some way to interact so you know whether they like it or not. And you know which video it is. And finally, do they actually make a purchase after watching the video? If so, which video? And it's only possible if you do it on your website. So let's go through this funnel again. I have a video on my front page. I make it very clear it doesn't autoplay. Only when users click on play, it starts playing. When the user starts playing, after it plays for 5 seconds, I start storing the session as the user really watched the video. I give a few interactions. They can ask questions, they can save the videos, and if they actually make a purchase on the site within the next 2 days or so, because I know the session, I can see, okay, this video, does it increase the conversion or not? Like if user click on play or not, does it change the conversion rate the user make a purchase or not? And then from there, we know if the video actually generates the lift. And when we say play, that is one of the way to make sure the user actually watch the video. But even more, sometimes I play a video and I just started looking at other stuff on other tabs. Because the video can be really long, or I just got distracted, I forgot about it, I go to other pages. So if you really want to make sure if your video is long and the users are actually watching and engaging with the video, make sure they stay on your tab. A lot of times we forgot about this. You can easily just make sure on your site if the user is still focusing on the page where your video embeds to make sure the attention time and engagement time is real. And finally, make sure they can add things to the cart, they can ask questions, they can do stuff. So at the moment, you know whether they're engaged or not, right? When anything's closer, they are more likely to do it. If it's hard, they just wouldn't do it because it's just human nature. Think about if you go to a physical store, how do they convince you to make a purchase? They make likely items you would like to purchase together next to each other, right? Same thing, you should do the same on the online store. And as we measure all the performance and we understand how important video is for your online strategy, how do we make performance repeatable? Because at the end of the day, we don't want it to be a one-time wonder, right? I hired a super big name influencer, I got this crazy boost of conversion, and then how do I continuously drive engagement and traffic with that content? Let's go back to the 3 pillars of e-commerce. It works for everything, especially in video, because again, video is actually harder to measure because it's not like text. We can easily extract features. For video, a lot of the feature building, a lot of machine learning, a lot of the content building is more like circumstantial or environmental to the video. So let's look into the 3 pillars. What makes user convert on e-commerce site right away? I just want to mention again, I mean right away here, because if you think about long-term conversion, we also talk about brand building, we also talk about more. But if you want performance-wise, increasing the conversion, this is a research done with more than 7,000 experiments A/B testing online. So the number 1 item that makes users to convert immediately is social proof. Just imagine if you go to a site and it just owns the brand content. First, as you go to a site, it has some user reviews written in text. You think, okay, at least other people also think it's good. And going further, next step is you see some user reviews with images. So now you know, oh, these are probably real users. Or, okay, these users are similar to me. I can relate to them. And that increases my purchase desire even more. And further, if your users actually participate in any of the live streaming with you, or they record a video about how they use the product, boom. Definitely, number 1, you know it's a real user, and you really see how they use the product, right? So really, it gives the social proof right there. 2, scarcity. We sell limited edition items all the time, and things are there only for a limited time. So basically, that's why we have VIP specific events. That's why we have limited colors, right? So for this, same as the videos, if you were doing a freestyling class, make it exclusive to your VIP customers, right? That's how they feel special. That's why they feel engaging with you, like really give them benefits. That's how it drives further conversion. And urgency. I think it goes without saying. I have to buy right now or it will be gone. I have to check out right now or my 20% discount will be gone, right? Make it like tune in 6 o'clock sharp. Any item I say here, special pricing. After the live event ends, you will not see the same price again. Or I'm having a new product launch. You will get the first batch if you buy it right now at the product launch, or you have to wait for a month. That's why people tune in to a lot of those product launch sessions to make sure they get the first hit after learning about the product features. So we talk a lot about the past of the e-commerce, why it's getting more interactive and more visual, and why now is a good time, an important time to start doing it, and if you were to do it, how to do it with more performance. So I want to end it with our conclusion. The key to success, just to sum up, we want to make it measurable. Make the feel-through attribution really feel through and really do attribute the success to your videos, not only to the last click emails. Make it repeatable by thinking about the 3 pillars that really comfort your customers. Make it at the right timing. So when users tune in, make it like really urgent. Like they have to convert right there. And finally, to make it measurable and to make it you really own your content, try to have the videos on your site directly. So it's not, okay, I watch your video on YouTube, immediately I saw 10 other competitors' ads, right? Like making your really great content, they can stay on your social media platforms as well, but make sure you at least have 1 copy also on your site. There's no reason to drive your users away from your site to go to your social media profile. I know it sounds funny because I always work in social media almost my entire career. I'm just telling you, social media platforms, they have many users to serve, right? But for you, you want to own your users, you want to own your content. So keep it out there. So I want to end the presentation with, I think the future is really bright because we are getting closer and closer as an online shopping to just like more like in-person shopping, right? That's how users are getting way more benefits. The brands have a true connection with the users. And that's how we can really make the entire shopping experience better and more efficient and effective overall. Thanks, everyone. So if you're interested in talking more, feel free to reach out to me on Twitter. That's one thing I'm really proud of. I own @Frost. Or just email me on my email. Well, thanks, everyone.